Hey guys, it is Julie and Travis here with JT Wealth. Today we are taking a look at ARK Invest ETFs and how they've done compared to competitors. So let's get into it.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back. And like Julie said, today's video we're going to be talking about ARK Invest, and we're going to look at their ETFs and how they've performed in the market so far. We're also going to look at the select few ETFs that managed to beat Cathie Wood.
And just before we get into all of that information, this is your friendly reminder that if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and that you're subscribed to the channel as well. Don't forget to check me out over on the TipRanks YouTube channel for my daily pre-market morning update, giving you everything you need to know before the market opens.
And also consider helping out the channel by checking out the links in the description section down below that include our Patreon group, where you can join a diverse group of investors where we promote financial literacy and other stock market discussions.
All right, now jumping in to ARK Invest ETFs. I was doing a bunch of reading lately following the launch of their ARK-X Space Exploration ETF, and I came across this article that discusses how only 8 ETFs have made you more money than Cathie Wood's ARK Innovation.
Alright, so to determine the importance of 8 ETFs beating Cathie Wood's ARK, let's look at how many ETFs there are total in the US. So this graph shows the total number of ETFs from 2003 all the way up to 2020. And you can tell in 2020 there were 2,204 active ETFs in the US.
So having your ETF be in just the top 10 out of over 2,200 ETFs is pretty darn impressive.
Okay, so now let's take a look at which ETFs came in ahead of ARK's innovation in the last 5 years.
In the number 1 position, we have the GBTC, which has a 5-year annualized total return of 163.8%. We have SOXL with an 81.4% return, TQQQ with a 59%, TECL at 58.9%, GRNTF with 58.1%, and USD for 53%. We then have one of ARK's funds with the Next Generation Internet under ARKW with a 51.9% 5-year annualized total return. Then we have ROM at 48.8%, and finally we have our ARK Innovation under ARKK with a 45.3% 5-year annualized total return.
Now there are a few things you need to know about the ETFs that managed to beat ARK.
First off, the Grayscale Bitcoin is a unique structure that's capitalizing on soaring prices of cryptocurrency. Meanwhile, 5 of the 8 ETFs outperforming ARK Innovation are all leveraged, such as the Direxion Daily Semiconductor Bull 3X. That fund returned 81% annually by using margin instruments to amplify short-term movements in underlying semiconductor stocks. The top of every leaderboard in any time frame will always be a 3x levered or inverse fund. If you eliminate these false comparisons, ARK has the number 1, 2, and 3 spots here on this list.
So obviously Cathie Wood is doing something right with her ETFs, but let's take a look at something Jim Cramer recently said that made a bold prediction about how millennials are looking at her investments. Relating it to Tesla, Jim Cramer said, "I follow all of her ETFs. They're moving up, they are not down. You want to watch those because they are the barometers of what millennials want." So I think he could be on to something here. With a notable influx of younger investors flooding the markets because of apps like Robinhood, I think it's safe to say watching where they're putting their money could be indicative of future trends in the market.
To abandon her is to think short term, and I don't think you want to think short term.
So thinking long-term relative to ARK's ETFs is definitely a smart move. I know we've seen some dips in the market lately, but we've also seen Cathie come out with some massive projections as far as Tesla's price target goes into 2025. So that could be what he's looking at when he thinks long-term.
ARK Invest has become a top 10 ETF issuer and has delivered savvy stock picking and a transparent in-depth research process. 5 ARK ETFs generated gains of more than 100% in 2020, led by the ARK Genomic Revolution ETF with a gain of 180%. Taking a look at all of the performances of the ARK ETFs, there is one under the radar ETF that has outperformed the rest. And that is ARK's 3D printing ETF, which is up nearly 27% year to date, and that is that lovely pink line at the top of the graph.
PRNT doesn't get a whole lot of attention with its relatively modest $130 million in assets. That's a scant 0.2% of ARK's total assets under management. The fact that it's the only ARK ETF that doesn't have ARK in its name isn't helping and feels like a missed opportunity. PRNT was nearly ARK's biggest fund a few years ago when the company was just gaining its footing, but quickly got left behind when its actively managed suite of ETFs took off.
Now, it does differ from ARK's other ETFs as it isn't actively managed and is an index tracking fund. But if you paid attention to their latest ETF with ARK X, the space exploration, this is actually one of their top few holdings.
So with 2,204 ETFs in the US in 2020, that means 2,196 of them were unable to beat Cathie Wood.
I think it's safe to say that investors are loving Cathie Wood's unique style of seeking out those disruptive technologies, and they've seen a lot of success from this style as well. Needless to say that we are big fans of ARK's ETFs. We've discussed them in the past and continue to be a big fan of them and Cathie Wood's investing style. Keep in mind that these videos aren't a suggestion to buy or sell any specific stock, and any investment decision needs to be made based on your own research and due diligence.
So if you made it all the way to the end of today's video, please give us a big thumbs up and leave a comment in the comment section down below.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and cheers.
Bottoms up.
Cheers.
Bottoms up.
Excuse me. Excuse me. What are you doing? Excuse me.